Today's the day you master how to make a balloon dog. First, you're going to need a balloon. There are two basic types of balloon pump. One is a dual action pump. There are two things you can do with a pump. Pull it apart and push it together. A dual action pump will expel air with both directions. So out and in, both make the air come out. So dramatic. Portable Fabio effect. All kids catch a Fabio reference, right? You get it. Okay. This ketchup bottle looking pump is a single action, which means when you pull it out, no air comes out. The air only comes out when you push the pump in. So single action, double action. For beginner purposes, children often find the single action pump to be easier. It's a bit slower, but easier to control and make sure that you're holding the balloon on. But really, either one works. You're going to need a balloon. This is called a 260 balloon. It's so called because when fully inflated, it is 2 inches in diameter and approximately 60 inches from end to end. However, for this balloon, and for most balloons you make, we're not going to fully inflate it. I don't like to say how many pumps of the hand pump to fill the balloon with. Mostly we're going to take a look at how much tail should be left on the end of the balloon. We'll always leave some tail on the balloon, 'cause science. First things first, putting the balloon on the pump. Hold the pump someplace stable. I like in my armpit. And then take your 2 hands and stretch out the nozzle on the balloon. Stretch out the nozzle so that you can fit it over the nozzle of the pump, like so. If you try and blow up the pump without holding the balloon on the end of the pump, it'll shoot off like a little rocket, which can be super fun, but that's not our goal here. Be careful because sometimes what will happen is the pump will be stretched all the way through. You see how you can sort of see the red of the plastic through the balloon? And now the balloon kind of comes off at an angle. That's not going to be good for pushing air into the balloon. When you put your balloon on the pump, make sure that you give the balloon a little bit of a stretch in the direction the pump is pointing to get it nice and clear, that pathway. Take your index and thumb of your non-dominant hand to pinch that little flange, that little nozzle, right there. Don't pinch too high to the point where you can actually feel the end of your pump, because that will seal off and your air won't be able to get into the balloon, or at least not very easily. So pinch that on the balloon, pull out the back end of the pump, and compress. You have to keep holding this on the tip of the pump while you pull out and compress again and again and again. It can be a little like learning to pat your head and rub your tummy at the same time while one hand is trying to do this action and the other is just holding very still, pinching the nozzle in place. But with practice, it will become second nature. So this uninflated portion at the end of the balloon, or the tail, is about 4.5 inches, maybe 12 centimeters long. Every time we put a twist in the balloon, we're displacing some of the air molecules towards the end of the balloon because we're sealing off some of the chamber, right? But if we did that while the balloon was already full to the tip, that's a recipe for a pop. If you don't want your balloon to pop, leave yourself some breathing room there. I've just blown up this balloon, and even though we have that space at the end, it's still a bit firm, this balloon. You can feel it. That means it needs to be softened, or as we say in the balloon industry, burped. You'll take your fingers that are pinching this mouth shut and just let out a few little squeaks of air. Beep, beep, beep. You'll feel it, that everything starts to get a little softer. You should be able to wrap your entire hand around the balloon and squeeze it, feeling your palm through the balloon. That may distort the balloon shape a bit, but don't worry about it. In twisting the balloon, it will completely retain its uniform firmness, but we want it to be soft and pliable and workable. Tying the balloon is absolutely the hardest part of learning how to make balloon art. And a lot of people get frustrated at that step and just call it a day, but not you. You got this. I believe in you. I start by pinching the neck of the balloon with 2 fingers on top, my index and middle, and my thumb on the bottom. Now, some people think that this is just not enough latex to tie the balloon, and it can be pretty tight. If you're a beginner, let me tell you, there's no rule saying how long this has to be. You can pinch the balloon about 1.5 inches down the neck. Make sure that you're pinching totally so the air can't escape from this chamber out, and then let that air escape. Now you've got a much longer neck to do your tying. So again, I've got my 2-finger, 1-finger pinch. I'm going to reach with my dominant hand over the balloon, pull away from me, then back over the 2 fingers towards me, under the balloon, the 2 fingers away from me, under my thumb. And now I can spread apart my 2 fingers and tuck that nozzle through the loop I made. This is one of those things that it's difficult to see on video, but once you feel it, you'll be able to tell. You're just tucking that balloon nozzle through the loop you made with your 2 fingers, pinching it, and just releasing your fingers from the loop and pulling the nozzle to tighten the knot. Now, if you did it with a very soft balloon, you may end up with a little bit there where the balloon kind of looks like it's collapsed right before the knot. From the base of the balloon, back down here, give the balloon a squeeze, and it will refill that section of balloon with air. I like to give my balloon a nice stretch and a squeeze to make sure it's nice and soft before we get started. Perfect. This is where we're starting from. Didn't we start like 10 minutes ago? Yes. We're starting again. Many, many starts. The same reason we leave space at the end of the balloon is why we start twisting from the knot end of the balloon. If you start twisting from this end, then your air is getting displaced towards the knot end, and it's getting tighter and tighter and tighter, and eventually this is just gonna pop. So don't do it. Always twist from the tied off end. Hold the balloon with the knot pointing towards the ceiling and the tail pointing towards the ground. Take the balloon and bend a section over like so. How long of a section? Well, it doesn't exactly matter. This front part of the balloon will be the dog's face. So if you want a tiny little face and tiny little ears, you can make this bend as small as you like. You can make it as long as you like. You'll make a few, and you'll start to realize, I like this dog, the nose is too long. Then you will adjust your proportions. This is how we learn. Approximately, I like to take 1/4 length of the balloon. So if I say this is half, then this is 1/4 of the balloon, fold that 1/4 of the balloon over. Right? So we started with our nozzle pointing up, folding approximately 1/4 of the balloon down, take my non-dominant hand and make an OK symbol around, squeeze. It doesn't need to be all the way squoze, doesn't need to be pinched all the way through, but just the fact that we are narrowing the balloon at this one section creates a slight weakness, a path of least resistance for the balloon to want to form and complete the twist that seals off these chambers. So with your dominant hand, grab that bent area of the balloon, the loop, and twist it. 1, 2, at least 3 full twists so that you can make sure that it will hold itself. This is the ears, and this is the head of your dog. Next step, once we've made those twists, is take both hands around the cylinder of the balloon and squeeze. That will make the balloon get a little bit longer, and then stretch the balloon to make it nice and soft again. Every time we twist the balloon, it will start to get a little tight, so we're just gonna soften it, make it easier to work with. Now we're basically gonna just repeat that first step. Take 1/3 of the balloon, fold that so that we have half in the loop and the same distance remaining. Now, where you squeeze the balloon, I prefer a bit of a shorter neck as compared to the legs, so I tend to squeeze a little closer to the head section of the balloon. Squeeze your OK, grab the loop and twist. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Again, at least 3 times. I tend to always twist the balloon towards myself, rotating in this direction. But you can also twist the other direction, but pick one direction. Because if you twist in one direction and then twist the other direction, it will untwist the balloon. So squeeze together. 1, 2, 3, 4. Good. And that is the face, ears, neck, and front legs of the dog. Now, of course, since we just made a twist, you can even see how the balloon's a little bit bulging here. The air is a little bit tighter in there, but we have plenty of space left over. So 2 hands on the remainder of the balloon and squeeze. Look how long it got, and less likely to pop when it's squishy. Take the remainder of the balloon and just bend that in half. So we've got one full section here. This loop is the full remainder of the balloon. Now, you want to make sure that the front legs are the same-ish size as your back legs. So where do you position your hands? If you position them here, there will be some teeny tiny little back legs when you have some pretty long front legs. So choose the positioning. I'll go right there because that looks approximately the same to me. Squeeze the balloon, slightly compress, dominant hand on the loop, twist. 1, 2, 3. There we have it. Now you might say, Shayna, this doesn't look like a dog. You're right. It doesn't look like a dog. The last step is always orientation. So we've got the head looking forward, legs down, tail up in the back. And that is your final balloon dog. Great job, by the way. Very impressed. This model of balloon dog is sometimes called the 3-twist dog, since you make it with just 1, 2, 3 twists. I've also heard it called the loopy dog, since the ears and the legs are made by one loop of the balloon. There is a slightly more advanced version of the balloon dog, the iconic image of the balloon dog that the Jeff Koons sculptures are based on. So I will show you this model here, so you can see the difference. Slight difference, but both look about equally like a dog. Which is to say, they don't really look like a dog. It's more like the idea of a dog. Like a cave painting or a stick figure. Something that conveys an idea without actually visually representing it that close. But that's what balloons are. Like a gestural type of art, which is why it's accessible to children and grown-ups and pretty much universally loved, at least in my experience. It starts the exact same way. We take a balloon, we take a pump, and we inflate it. I'm gonna leave a bit longer of a tail on this balloon because, again, we're putting more twists in the dog, so we're displacing more air in the balloon. Makes sense, right? Burp the balloon, stretch, and tie the nozzle. Beautiful. Give it that squeeze and stretch. Make it nice and soft and pliable. Rather than making the full okay squeeze around 2 sections of the balloon, which can sometimes be pretty bulky, especially if you have small hands. Pinch gently with your non-dominant hand where you want the head chamber to end. Grab with your hand the remaining chamber of the balloon and twist. As you can see, just that little bit of a suggestion that this is where the twist should be is enough for the balloon, and it will twist right there. Now here's the important part. If you let go of the balloon at this point, it will untwist. The balloon is not going to hold itself in that position until there is resistance. If we create 4 bubbles at this one juncture, that is enough stability to hold the balloon in place with the friction of the rubber balloons against one another. Let me see if I can demonstrate this. With one balloon here, if I put a twist, of course, if I let go, it comes undone. But let me hold it between these 2 fingers here and grab another balloon and put a twist in that balloon. Now, neither of these balloons are stable on their own, but if I just put the 2 together, There it is. This balloon can't untwist because the green balloon is preventing it from spinning. And the same thing for the green balloon. Just the fact that there is a bubble of latex offering resistance is enough to keep this a stable sort of homeostasis of a balloon juncture. We can do that with a single balloon by making the 4 bubbles on our own. Let me show you. If we pinch that first place and make a bubble, this is bubble number 1 of this juncture. We have to hold on to bubble number 1 until all 4 bubbles are in the juncture. So now I'm gonna make bubble number 2, and I can make bubble number 3, and this, the rest of the balloon, is bubble number 4. If I take 1, 2, 3, and 4 and put them together and twist them around, this is an equilibrium of sorts. The balloon is very happy to remain in this position. Double squeeze on the balloon to make it nice and soft. I'm gonna pinch about where I want the neck to be. This is my next juncture, which means that this balloon needs at least 4 bubbles coming out of it to stay still. Twist there, twist a leg, come back to the neck, squeeze at the neck, and twist around itself. Perfect. Now this is a bit of an exorcist dog, but just give it a little chiropractic adjustment. Perfect. Looking straight ahead, and everything is in position. Next, we'll need to go out about the distance of a body, and because it's a juncture, the body is bubble number 1. We'll twist that there. Don't let go of bubble number 1. We'll twist a leg balloon. We'll bend that back up to the end of the body and the beginning of the leg. Give it a gentle suggestion that that is where the twist should be, and we'll twist those legs around one another. And there we go. 4 bubble junction, here, here, and here. This is the classic 1 balloon dog. I know this one is more complicated, but I'm actually faster at making this version of the dog than I am at making this version of the dog. Why? I have way more practice making this one. I know you hear it from everyone, but really, practicing a thing is what's going to make your hands memorize the steps, and it will make it much, much easier for you to do in the long run. The first step at being good at something is being kind of bad at something. But the fun thing about balloons is even when you mess up, they're kind of super fun anyway. So have fun with it. Get your hands on some balloons, twist, let it pop, let it unravel, let all the air out. It's fun to experiment, and it's fun to make art. Am I overthinking this? Of course I'm overthinking this. That's what I do. Well, thanks for totally not demonstrating what I wanted you to demonstrate. Physics.